What's up guys, this is Ray and welcome to Asian Filmist. And the movie we'll be talking about today is a 2018 anime film, Mazinger Z Infinity. This anime movie is directed by Shimizu Junji and it's a continuation of the ever so iconic anime series originally written by Nagai Go, the creator of works such as Devilman and Cutie Honey. Now this isn't a mere adaptation of the ever iconic work, it's actually a continuation. The story takes place 10 years after the original work. Now that being said, I never actually watched the original anime or read the original manga. Now it's been around since the 70s, so it's as old school gets. So the way I'll be approaching this review is more as a new fan, if you will. I mean, I've known the character throughout most of my otaku life. It's just one of those characters that you always know who they are, and I've never actually watched or read any of the original work, regrettably. So yeah, I'm going to try to approach this review with fresh eyes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the reason they made this movie in the first place. So I'm pretty sure with this revival, they mean to hook new fans, and I'm definitely one of them. So the basic story of Mazinger Z Infinity is that Dr. Hell is back. Dr. Hell is the long-running villain of the original story, and the reason why he's back is because the humans have unearthed a new all-powerful machine which they nickname Infinity, and it's the biggest Mazinger machine. I don't know what the terminology is, but it's the biggest Mazinger machine they have yet to find, and it's about, I don't know, 10 times bigger than Mazinger Z. So now that Dr. Hell is back, Kabuto Koji, the original hero of the series, of the original story, he has to leap into action, and he gets help from Great Mazinger, Tsurugi Tetsuya, and they both work together to try to take down Dr. Hell and his minions once and for all. And they get help from this new character, Lisa. She's supposed to be a key that unlocks the mysteries of Infinity, but at the same time, her past and her usage, her purpose is shrouded in mystery. So let's talk about the positives and negatives about Mazinger Z. First, the positives. The action sequences were phenomenal. They were so fun. I mean, there were plenty of tracking shots where Mazinger would just leap into action, surrounded by all sorts of, what do they call, mechanical beasts, left and right. I'm pretty sure the majority of them have returned from the original anime. And now, if I was an old school fan of the show, I'd definitely be giggling at all the references and the Easter eggs that they put in with the monsters they bring into this movie. But they had Mazinger flying left and right, all throughout the enemies, doing all his signature moves from like rocket punch to breast fire. It was, to see it all come to life, the last time we saw it was back in the 70s and 80s, but to see it in high definition animation, it was amazing. And as he was destroying bad guys left and right, you had the original theme song playing while he was doing everything. Well, not the original theme song. It's the original artist, Mizuki Ichiro, re-recording the theme song, and it sounds amazing. If you watch the trailer, you can hear the song for yourself. And so the animation of the battle sequences was all hype. But something I really appreciated is that this movie was a really excellent blend of 2D animation and cel shading. Now, normally movies that are anime movies which are 100% cel shading, I think they're a bit hit or miss. Like Blame was alright, but the characters' faces had this kind of stone impression the whole time, expression the whole time. And then you had Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, which is a step up, and it was good. But this one, pretty much the only thing that was animated in cel shading were the robots or the mecha. So all the scenes that involved Mazinger Z and Great Mazinger flying around, destroying bad guys, it was all done in cel shading. But when it came to the actual humans and the environments that the humans were placed in, it was all in traditional animation. And I actually prefer it that way because I feel like you can capture more emotion and more personality with just regular 2D animation. Instead of cel shading, I feel cel shading, you lose a lot of the emotion, you lose a lot of the expression in the transition. And I'd say the voice cast is commendable. Granted, it's not the original voice cast. I'm pretty sure there are a few who have returned, but for the most part, they're all new cast members playing all these iconic characters, and I'd say they do a good job. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen the original work, as I've said, so my opinion could differ from yours. And if you're a longtime fan of Mazinger Z, as I've hinted earlier, there is a ton of fan service, a ton of Easter eggs to be enjoyed throughout the movie. But at the same time, for newcomers, I feel it's still there's still enough to appreciate. Like you see all these references dropped in, but your understanding of the story isn't reliant on your understanding of those Easter eggs, and that's something I appreciated. And so on that note, let's talk about the negatives. Probably the biggest negative I have to say about Mazinger Z Infinity is the villains. And no, granted, Dr. Hell isn't a villain returning for the original story. However, I feel like to really appreciate the villains, you have to understand who Dr. Hell is, and that is because they don't really take the time to flesh out his character and flesh out his motivations. It's mentioned, everything is mentioned, but they don't take time to really flesh it out, or even the relationship between Kabuto Koji and Dr. Hell. So I feel like to really appreciate the villains that are featured here, you have to rely on memory and nostalgia. And not only the villains, a lot of the supporting characters who come in, and I understand a lot of the supporting characters who come into this movie are basically extended cameos, but you do get a lot of characters who they played an important role in the past. But I feel like it would have been nice to see their characters a little more fleshed out and developed. And one of those supporting characters includes Tsurugi Tetsuya, who pilots the Great Mazinger, and he had his own series at one point, and to see him get just kind of put in the background without really much involvement in the story, it was kind of a turnoff. And I feel like throughout the story there were a few plot points which could have been improved if they were better developed or just more fleshed out, like I keep saying. For example, the motives of the bad guys. There are a few romantic plot points that they kind of hint at, but they don't really go full into it. And even the relationship between Kabuto Koji, the main character, and Lisa, the mystery girl who they find in the body of Infinity. Like, I think Lisa is an interesting character, but when you first meet Lisa, everyone's like, who the hell is this? But then in the next scene where you see Lisa again, already she and Koji already have this partner relationship, and I wish we would have had time to really see that develop. But positives and negatives, all that being said, overall, what did I think of Mazinger Z Infinity? It was a lot of fun. Visually, it was fantastic. It was a lot of spectacle, a lot of fan service. And if you're a fan of the giant mecha anime genre, or even just for example, just giant mecha stories like Power Rangers, and it's just a whole lot of fun to see giant robots wreck on other giant robots. And honestly, I did like the story, and they try to squeeze in a lot of themes together that really play well off of each other. Everything from war and politics to obviously good and evil. But at the same time, you can still watch this movie as a visual experience and have a whole lot of fun. When I watched it in the movie theater, there were a few kids who were cheering up and down, just excited to see Mazinger Z just cut stuff up. I think if these kids who obviously are too young to experience Mazinger Z back in the 70s, if they were having a lot of fun, then pretty much anyone can have a lot of fun. But at the same time, it did feel kind of like an extended episode of an anime series. I think it worked better with that kind of mindset instead of a standalone movie. But even so, I think it does its job pretty well, and that is to kind of renew interest in the character, in the series, and to get new fans. And so right now, Mazinger Z is going through its theatrical run here in Japan, but from what I understand, it's getting a limited release outside of the country. I know it's coming out in the States in about a few weeks. I don't know exactly the timeline, but if you have the chance, I definitely recommend checking this out, especially in the theater, so you can see all the spectacle for yourself and enjoy it. And that is because it has a lot to offer for longtime fans, as well as enough for new fans to come in and get to know the character. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on Mazinger Z Infinity. What did you guys think? Or what kind of questions did you guys have? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow on Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. Alright guys, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again in the next video. Take it easy.